Hi, everybody. Primitive Substance. This is Series 3. Your host, Dennis Young. Special guest today, New Jersey native, Alan Benjamin, who's a multi instrumentalist, guitarist, and who runs the NJProgHouse, a number of shows that go on here. Alan, thanks for coming on board.
Oh, my pleasure, Dennis. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
So let's hear about your story here, how you got interested in guitars and progressive music.
Oh, wow. That goes back a long ways. Well,
I'm sure.
My mom was a musician, a composer and pianist, and when I was apparently 2 years old, I begged her for piano lessons because I just heard music. I'd seen her play. She was proud of saying she made me wait till I was 3 to actually start, and she got me a really good teacher, and I've just been playing music ever since.
Okay.
I kind of started getting into more classical music, and I was a classical violinist when I was, I guess, like 7 to 12, roughly. I was pretty good. Then I got sent away to boarding school, and I wasn't allowed to bring my violin with me. And within a couple months, I had a roommate that turned me on to some really cool rock records, and I just kind of shifted to more of a rock and roll mentality. And from there, it just sort of, whatever was most interesting, kind of caught my ear. And maybe having the classical background and playing violin and piano. And I took flute lessons and snare drum as well along the way. I just sort of naturally gravitated toward, progressive music, and formed a band when I was in high school, and went to Berklee College.
Yeah, were you into Yes? Were you listening?
Yeah.
Did you go see any shows when you were in high school, like Yes or Genesis or any of those bands?
Yeah. So in high school, my boarding school, we weren't really able to go out and see a lot of shows, but I moved back down to the area. I graduated at 16, as I was mentioning, and within a year, I ended up moving back down there, and then I started going to a lot of shows. So I think we did take it to a few concerts, maybe 2 or 3. I remember seeing Tom Waits early on before I even knew who he was. I was probably 12 or 13. I remember seeing Johnny's Dance Band, who I kind of know whatever happened to them. But nothing that was really that I chose until probably after, I got back in the area and started seeing, a lot of bands. Probably the one that sticks out the most is Gentle Giant. I got to see him on the final tour.
They were great.
See him, but I saw him at the Tower outside Philly.
I missed seeing. I was still in high school. I missed seeing the Lamb. I graduated in '76, but I did get to see Yes, the Relayer tour. That was like one of my first concerts. A big band like that, and it was quite amazing.
I would have loved to have seen that. I didn't get to see Yes until much later, probably in like 89 or 90 was the first time. And it might have actually been just before after the Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman Howe,
The only
and we saw that.
thing about that was that was the last concert at Roosevelt Stadium, and there was a stabbing outside. So after that, there was no more shows there.
Yeah.
So let's hear about you started a band called Advent.
Yeah.
Was that later on after you played in other bands?
Well, yeah. When my history is kind of weird. I moved back down to the area where I had gone to boarding school, which was outside Philadelphia, and I was gonna go back to college. I didn't like Berklee when I was 16. I was a guitar player and I was a prog guy in the jazz world, and it's really cool now. And I'd love to go to today's Berklee when had the opportunity to go to Berklee like it is today when I was 16, but it was really not what I wanted at the time. Plus I was impatient, and it seemed like all the really cool stuff I was interested in was more toward the year 3 and 4. So I dropped out, and I moved back down the Philly area, and I was going to go to the University of Hartford for computer science behind one of my closest friends, and I ended up in a cover band called Merlin and playing out for a living for about 15 months in and around Philly and South Jersey. And So that was kind of the most band playing I did until I formed Advent. I was in a few other bands here and there, worked on my own music too, but I formed Advent in October of 1989 with Henry Ptak, and his brother Mark joined about half a
You
year
guys
later.
are really good. You sounded like a little bit like Camel, a little bit like Camel, a little bit like Genesis. You had a really good sound.
Thanks. Well, yeah, I think we're all Gentle Giant fans, but I think Henry and Mark are also. I think Gentle Giant and Genesis were definitely common loves, but Henry and Mark were also really into Procol Harum, and we were all into the Tubes as well, kind of
I remember them.
kind of thing. And we just found that our tastes were really not only compatible, but they complemented one another, and even just three-way between the three of us. So it was really the band that I had hoped to form, and I couldn't have been luckier to find those guys to form something with.
Yeah, that's always nice. Now, your first record came out not till '97, right? Self-titled record.
Yeah, I think it was 90. It was either 96 or 97.
Okay.
I think it was 97. I think you're right. I think we were on 2 Gentle Giant tributes in 96. Giant Tracks, which was independent, an internet-based thing.
Okay.
And then
did you play a lot outside of? Did you play a lot outside of? Was that recorded in New Jersey? The record?
Yeah. The first Advent album was all except for one tune was recorded in New Jersey. We did go to a 24-track studio in Boston. I think it was in 1992, and we had 5 songs we wanted to record, and we recorded most of them on a 4-track cassette already at home, and mostly in my apartment in Scotch Plains where I lived at the time. And we ended up only mixing one of them because we had working demos of the other 3, so Nowhere Else to Go on the first album was recorded and mixed up at One World Studios up in Boston, not far from Berklee, actually. But the rest of it was recorded here, and even the Gentle Giant tribute tune that we included as a bonus,
right,
that ended up being recorded at a friend of Mark's. He had a rehearsal studio in Karlstadt with a Tascam D88, and so we recorded it there, and I mixed it at home on a brand new Roland VS880 because they were having. He was doing analog mixing, I think, up there, and he had some ground hum issues with this mixer. So I just transferred all the tracks to the VS880 and mixed it at home.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense because it sounds good. Really has a good sound.
Thanks a lot.
So then you play in between because your next record looks like 2006, right? Cantus Firmus, is that how you pronounce it?
Cantus Firmus. Yeah, you're right. It was 9 years, so you were absolutely right about 1997 to 2006. Yep. So we had a 9-year cadence.
I know. Well, now were you guys playing in between that, or did you take hiatus, or what happened there?
We tried to we always tried to form a full band that would be functional playing out live, but we just kept on having personnel issues, especially with bass players. We just couldn't seem to find or keep bass players. So we spent a lot of time just trying to find the right folks, working on the live set and working on material as a full band, but people just kept on coming and going. And I kind of back to just Henry, Mark, and myself, and decided, okay, we'll just start working on a new album. And we had, much better home recording technology, and we were able to record most of one piece at a professional studio in New York City that Mark had an association with, too. And then we met Drew Siciliano, our drummer, kind of near the end of that, and he came on board. And we were able to do that. Then after the release of Cantus Firmus, we said we really got to play live, and that's when we found our first long-term live bass player, Ben Rose, and a second guitarist, Greg Katona, and we functioned as a 6-piece for a good number of our initial shows.
Sounds good. Yeah, I could tell you got a really good bass player on that. So,
thanks.
And then you were still playing. You were still playing after that for a while before. I guess you only put out then another record you had in 2015. Was that your latest?
That is our latest, unfortunately, and we're not going to make the 9-year cycle now either. Unfortunately, I think COVID is largely responsible for the extra delay.
I'm sure.
But we've been working on new material. We have about 4 or 5 pieces pretty well along. Most of them are completely, well, not completely recorded, but over half recorded. But it's just taken us a while to get everything together. But hopefully within another year and a half, optimistically, since we're not in the same area, we work remotely now a lot. We'll hope to have the full album out.
And then also, did you worked on a solo record, right? I haven't gotten to hear that. Did you put together a solo record, right?
I'm in the process of doing that now. Actually, I have 7 tracks recorded.
Okay.
But I haven't released it yet. I did decide, kind of on the spur of the moment, back at the end of last year, to release one of the longer tracks I'd finished as a single. So that did come out, and seems like people are enjoying it. It's definitely a bit different than the Advent stuff, but there are 6 other tracks that are already fully recorded, and I have a lot of them are miniatures though. I have 2 or 3 larger scale works that are in kind of the middle of being completed as well. So my goal is to have hopefully at least a 45 minute album, and I'll probably also remix the single too, because I don't want to have a situation where people bought a single and now it's part of the album. It's something they already own. I feel pretty strongly about that. So I'm probably going to improve that mix or somehow make it.
Now, are you going to, is this just you solo?
It's just me playing a whole bunch of different instruments.
Are you playing all the instruments on this?
Yeah.
That's great. Even drums and, I can't wait to hear this. Now, is it the same vein, the progressive music?
It is, but it's probably
overall,
probably a little more introspective in some ways. There are some tunes that are just solo, like one solo piano, one is solo steel string acoustic guitar, one is a classical guitar solo. There's a stick and
so at the end of this. All right. That sounds interesting. So at the end, just let me know where to put on a description where we could find your records of Advent and when this solo record's coming out. Now I'd like to go to this NJProgHouse, which, how many years have you had this going now?
Well, Jim started it a long time ago. Actually, Jim Robinson, he started before it was even called the New Jersey ProgHouse. And I think it was around the time of the Flower King show at New Brunswick. I think that was at, I can't remember. I think it was at George Street Playhouse, if I remember correctly. I can go back and look because I have a lot of my concerts documented. Yep. I think that was around the beginning of when he started it. And then by the time another few years went by, maybe even a year or 2, he came up with a New Jersey ProgHouse name. And I remember seeing an Is show at the Metler Bodine House. I'm pretty sure that was 2003.
That's a great. Now, did you do anything in Metuchen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For it was before my time working for the ProgHouse, but a lot of the ProgHouse gigs were at a one-room schoolhouse.
I remember that because I saw Tom Breeslin there. He played there once, and I had Tom on interviewed, and it was a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Another local guy.
Merlin,
originally, and I guess he's kind of still back in the area, or he's back in the area now.
And he actually played with Yes, and now he's with Kansas. So his career has really been something.
Yeah, he came a long way from playing synth bass for us, which he did once or twice when he was 17. Because, as I said, we had trouble finding bass player. So he actually did play synth bass for a very short period.
No, I went to J.P. Stevens High School in Edison. We have 2 rock stars there. David Rosenthal, who plays with Billy Joel, or did. I don't know if they're going to do any more shows. And David Bryan of Bon Jovi. They both went to J.P. Stevens.
I didn't know that about David.
So,
yeah, that's cool.
Is there some memorable shows that you had at the NJProgHouse that you could let everybody know about, or that was
Wow.
special?
That's a
I'm
hard
sure there's a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've worked personally. I started in 2008, and my wife Amy joined the following year.
Okay.
And I keep a log of shows. I think I counted something like working 120 different shows and festivals last time I
Oh
went
my
back.
gosh! Wow.
So, I mean, there have been so many amazing ones that it's really hard to say. I'll tell you one of my favorites that actually probably had the lowest attendance of any of them is at Roxy and Duke's. It was.
Oh, I know that place. That's a great place. It was.
It was, yeah. It shut down early in COVID, and it's now being.
That's too bad. It's not around anymore.
Yeah, it's not. But I was Infineon, Crosswalk Anarchy, and Louis the Mule. And it was just an amazing night of music, and all the musicians were really into each other's band too. And I think, I don't know, we maybe had 15, paying customers at that show. So it was.
Oh my gosh!
But it was an amazing show. But there's been so many,
I'm sure.
One that sticks out before my time.
Did you have Nectar play?
I think there's been.
You remember those guys, Nectar?
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I know those guys. They're cool guys, and they're really great live. I think we did at least one show at Roxy and Duke's with them under the ProgHouse banner.
Yeah, they were based in New Jersey. I don't know if they still are, but they came over here, and then Larry Fast produced one of their early records.
Yeah, and he's another Jersey guy. Yeah.
Right, I had him on, and he's another great guy with a lot of great stories.
Sure, yeah. I don't know if you were the first Nearfest, but he actually talked. One of the sets at Nearfest was Larry just talking, like just telling stories.
Yeah, you should. You should have him on. You should have him just for that. How about the Stickmen? Did you get those guys?
I think we got them once. I know we got the Levin Brothers once too. Yeah, we've had so many shows. It's really hard for me to remember everyone that we've had. But I was going to say one of my favorite ProgHouse shows.
Those guys are good too.
Was before I joined. Was in 2004. Was Matt Morgan with my friend who's now sadly gone, Greg Howard on stick.
Oh yeah! Oh wow!
That was in Metuchen. That was one of the school.
How about that?
That was an incredible show. That's one of my favorites. But I mean, there's been there's probably at least 40 or 50 that are really in my top. So it's kind of hard to pick favorites.
Were you able? Yeah, I'm sure. Were you able to get Steve Hackett at all to play, or was that tough?
No, I only worked with Steve Hackett in the context of Nearfest when Jim and Ray.
Oh, okay.
The 2 years that they ran Nearfest.
Is that still going on, Nearfest? Do they still have that?
No,
that's too bad.
Yeah, 2012 I think was the last year, and Jim and Ray ran it in 2009 and 2010.
Yeah, that's too bad. So, what's coming up in the future for the next shows coming up? Do you have you're still doing it, right? The NJProgHouse, the show's still going on?
Yep,
where do you have them at now?
Well, we're actually starting to do some shows at the Dunellen Theater, believe it or not.
How about that? Wow.
We have the first one booked now, which is, I'm looking on the website really quick. Oh, yeah, I should know this because it's my mom's birthday. My mom's no longer here.
And
I think, am I looking at the right date? Oh, no, maybe it's not. That's actually from last year. They didn't update it, but we do have a show coming up at the Dunellen Theater with and the 20 committee, and I want to say it's in the fall, but I was hoping that the date would be on the ProgHouse site, and I don't see it there. The last thing I see is Prog Camp, but okay. I'm sure I can look that up before we're done and figure out when that is.
Okay, I'll put it on the description at the end. I'll put it in the description where everybody can find the shows and your band. Now, have you seen the musical box Have you seen that,
Yes,
that show?
several times.
Oh, they are amazing.
First time in Near Fest Friday, actually. They played Near Fest Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're playing again December, I believe it's either 6th or 7th in New Brunswick State Theater.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yep.
Close by.
So try to get tickets for that. It's worth every penny. I mean, I saw them in Montclair the last time, and it was a spectacular show. I don't know how they do it, but boy, they've got the costumes and everything.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think we've seen them maybe 5 times, something like that, on the order of 5 times, and they've been incredible every time. Oh, I kind of miss their old drummer, who I don't remember his name, who was left-handed and kind of looked like Phil Collins.
Oh, okay.
Would come out and sing "More Fool Me" when they did, you know.
Well, that singer really looks and sounds like Peter, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So I guess that's about it here, Alan. Anything else you want to bring up before we conclude here?
Oh, well, I guess the only other thing I'd say is that I did also play with Mirthrander when they reformed for the shows and festivals that they did in 2006 and 2009. And it was right around the time that Cantus Firmus was just about finishing up our final work on it. So the timing was not ideal, but I had been a fan of the band. I had known about their music for quite a few years, thanks to Doug Larson. I don't know if you know Doug, but he was a big source of a lot of the CDs you find. You see back in the late 80s, early 90s in particular.
Oh,
he turned me on to them before the album even came out on CD. And through our old drummer in Advent, I was brought in, to audition for Mirthrander, and did all the shows, participated in all of the live shows that they did in that time period. We had 3 other second guitarists, mainly 2. One we only had for an interim time, but that was a lot of fun too. And sorry that we don't play live in Mirthrander anymore either. That was a lot of fun too.
Well, you've had some amazing shows there. I mean, over the years, you've been a great source for bands to show what they can do, especially here in the Garden State.
Definitely. And the other thing that I have to say personally about the ProgHouse is that it's been an amazing venue for the bands that I've been in to launch. Like Advent's first show was at the ProgHouse. Mirthrander's first reunion show, show since the 70s, was at the ProgHouse. Both at the Schoolhouse in Metuchen, actually. And not only have so many great performers come in at all levels almost of the genre, but it's been an amazing place to kind of launch something, and for newer bands or bands that haven't played together in a long time to start off, and it's got a ton of support, which really appreciate. So
you're
much.
doing a great service, because a lot of these bands don't have outlets for too many places to play, and the music business now is, it's all big band, big groups, and it's very hard to break in.
It is, and I think the live, the settings for live music are much more limiting than they used to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Now I'm going to try really quick to see if I can just see when that is.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Is with the 20 committee. I'm going to go to the ProgHouse site, really, Facebook site.
Yeah, because I want to get people to come out and support you guys, for sure.
Exactly. I appreciate it. Let me just, there's a page and a group, and I don't see it. It's got to be on there somewhere. No, I know it was announced, but just keep an eye out on ProgHouse.com, and I'm sure it'll be listed up there.
Well, what I'll do is I'll make an announcement, a special announcement, once you have it set up, and I'll just do a separate podcast saying when the show is and when to get tickets. Definitely to support you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. So, Alan, that's about it here. I'm glad you came on, and good luck with the continued shows and your music. And
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me. It's been really
sure, and
speaking
I'll
with
put
you.
in the description where to find your music. And are you on Bandcamp? Are you on
Yeah, we are. That's our pride for Advent. That's our
digital services?
primary. That's our pride. Yeah, we're on digital distribution as well, and we still have physical product for Cantus Firmus and.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, but it's the only reliable way to order it is via Bandcamp. And when you order Bandcamp, you're looking at the guy who fulfills it, because I just go to
Right, that's true.
and send it off. So I have the stock of those CDs here in my house.
Okay, great. So I'll let everybody know in the description that where you can get the CDs and keep it going there. So anyway, Alan, thanks for your time, and take it easy now, and we'll see you later. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.